Let's ride.
Time for the words that are recited before each and every game here at Dodger Stadium. Take it away, Finn.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
What is going on, Dodgers fans? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. We are presented by the FanSided Podcast Network. Probably listening to this in December. Winter ball, baby. Winter meetings are coming up December 4th through 7th, so hopefully that gets the ball rolling on the hot stove. But we got some things to talk about today, including the big story right now, and that's the Dodgers and Justin Verlander. This is more than a rumor, folks. The Dodgers are legitimately interested in Justin Verlander. They had a meeting Tuesday afternoon via Zoom, and it appears that the Dodgers, per numerous MLB insiders, are one of the favorites to potentially sign the 40-year, probably Hall of Famer, multiple Cy Young winner as recent as 2022, talking about Justin Verlander, who had a great season this past year, going 18-4, 185 strikeouts, over 175 innings pitched, and .829 whip, which is incredible. Obviously won the World Series as well. So let's get the ball rolling here with Justin Verlander. I think this is more serious than I had anticipated just a couple weeks ago. I thought this was just reporters trying to gas things up. But as I'm speaking to you guys today, I do think that this interest is real, and I'm going to throw it out there right now. I think the Dodgers are going to sign Justin Verlander. I think the Houston Astros are perfectly comfortable moving on. I think Justin Verlander fits the mold that the Dodgers are looking for in a contract, probably 3 years, roughly 40-ish million a year. He is 40, so that does scare me. I know I kind of criticized him last time we spoke, that the age is a factor. It does scare me. I mean, most pitchers are not this good this late into their career. Had the Tommy John surgery, missed basically 2020 and 2021, but I just said he won the Cy Young. So clearly he's doing fine. This is a guy that likes the bright lights. My only criticism on him is not the fact that he's a Houston Astro. I could care less about that. It's more that he's just has not had a lot of success in the postseason. Really bad World Series record. He did bad against the Seattle Mariners. He did dominate the New York Yankees. He always seems to have their number. Had one terrible start against the Phillies, and then finally got his first World Series win in one of the clinching games against the Phillies. So, David Rosenthal, what are your thoughts on this interest with the Dodgers and Justin Verlander?
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. I want nothing to do with Justin Verlander. He's 39 years old. His birthday is in February. He will be 40 years old before the first pitch of the MLB season in 2023 is thrown. I want nothing to do with him. I want nothing to do with his brother. I don't want to pay $120 million for a 40-year-old starting pitcher who is garbage, complete ass in the postseason. No, thank you. Unequivocal, no. I get the interest. I get it. He's coming off a Cy Young. He was not going to demand a 4, 5, 6 multi-year deal, which DeGrom probably will. So I get it. They're trying to just, minimize the financial commitment. But man, do I hate this a lot. I really hope he does not sign with the Dodgers. For a multitude of reasons. I don't think he's going to pitch well for much longer. What are we doing here? We have 3 guys in the minor leagues who are more than capable of taking a rotation spot. There's other starting pitching on the market. You got our friend Kodai Senga, who is a pitcher. Now that we know that he's a pitcher, how about we sign him? Well, he's also not going to cost what Justin Verlander's going to cost.
Let me put this back into perspective.
He's not 40 years old. He doesn't have an asshole brother.
Julio Reyes will be a free agent at the end of the season. Clayton Kershaw will also be a free agent at the end of the season after 2023. That's 2 spots right there. It's not going to kill you to sign Justin Verlander for 2, maybe 3 years. He doesn't have a qualifying offer attached to him. This is a guy that can eat innings. He doesn't have injury history. Yeah, you have the Tommy John, but this guy was pitching 200 innings for like 15 years straight. So you'll give him a pass there. You would assume his elbow can hold up for at least another 3 to 5 years because he has expressed he does want to try to pitch until he's 45, kind of going the Tom Brady route. But let me get Jake Reiner in on this fun. So what are your thoughts on all this?
So I obviously wasn't on this podcast in 2017. None of us were because it didn't exist. But when Justin Verlander's name came up as a potential trade at the deadline, and it was between kind of him and Yu Darvish, I wanted Justin Verlander then. And you can ask anybody that I knew at that time. I really wanted Justin Verlander. I thought that he would have fit really nicely with the Dodgers. And as it turned out, Yu Darvish kind of shit the bed in the World Series, and the rest is history. So now, looking at Justin Verlander, I agree with a bunch of things that you guys have said. It does scare me, the fact that he is turning 40 years old. It does scare me, the fact that he doesn't pitch well in the playoffs. And that has been my thing since the Dodgers were eliminated by the Padres. We know the Dodgers are going to make the playoffs. That's a fact. There's no way that they won't make the playoffs. So once they do, the question is who can perform in the postseason. And Verlander has a history of being not just not good, he's been very bad.
Arguably the worst World Series pitcher ever.
And you think about all the opportunities he's had in the World Series and in the playoffs, and he has one World Series win, which came in this past World Series. That's kind of scary. And it's not something that I really am on board with. But here's the but. He has kind of defied all the odds that you would expect a pitcher of his age and what Kevin was saying, his workload, to eventually become. I did not think that he'd be pitching this well this late into his career, and the fact that he won the AL Cy Young and is still pumping the ball 96, 97 miles an hour. That's insane. I don't know how he's doing that, but he is. But yeah, I mean, his age really concerns me. And if I had a choice between him and DeGrom, obviously I would want DeGrom, but it just seems like maybe they're thinking that the Mets are going to hang on to him. And so there's really no point. And he is attractive because he doesn't have the qualifying offer. He kind of meets the criteria of short-term, high AAV, all of that jazz. The Dodgers do need starting pitching. They're thin at that position, so it does make sense in that regard. But it just makes me very worried. His age and just, I don't know. I mean, so much can happen in a season. You sign a guy to a big contract, and then that same year, he has a terrible year. And now you're looking at this big contract with this really old pitcher that you can't get out of for at least a couple seasons.
He's not a complete failure in the postseason. He's had 79 innings thrown in the ALDS, 3.08 ERA with an 8-1 record. He's thrown 80 innings in the ALCS, 7-4 with a 3.01 ERA. So if he can do that, that at least gets the Dodgers to the World Series, I would assume. But yeah, he just has to get over that hump.
We've been to the World Series. We just can't win it. That's the problem.
He's not been to the World Series since 2020. That is now 2 seasons ago. That is 2 seasons too long.
We've been to the World since 2017. We've been to the World Series 3 times.
And how many have they won?
1. That's my point.
No, my point is we just got knocked out of the NLDS, winning 1 playoff game. I want guys that are going to get us back to the World Series because making the playoffs is not good enough.
Was he going to hit with runners in scoring position for us in that series?
The bullpen gave up 5 runs in game.
So he's coming
4.
out of the bullpen now?
No, but he will give you hopefully 6 or 7 innings versus what they did with Tyler Anderson, who gave them 5 innings, and then they tried to trust the bullpen. Okay. And it wasn't just that. Kershaw gave up 3 runs. Reyes gave up 3 runs. So our starters were not exactly perfect.
I mean, look at his first start in the World Series. It was garbage, and his second start wasn't much better. He's not a good postseason pitcher. He's just not.
I just read the stats. He is a great postseason pitcher. He's not a great World Series. He had 6 innings against the Yankees where he struck out 11 of them. In the ALCS in 2017,
bad.
He was unhittable as well. The Padres are not better than the Dodgers. I don't care about a small sample size. When you look at Justin Verlander's resume, we're talking about a 16-11 record, 207 innings thrown. He's the all-time postseason strikeout leader. We bash Kershaw all we want, but he has a lower ERA than Clayton Kershaw in the postseason. So
I mean, you got to factor in the relievers who have let Kershaw down in that I mean, John Weissman has that Excel sheet where you can see a detailed version of every Kershaw start in the postseason and see how many runners the relievers that came in after him, inherited runners, scored. It's at a clip that's unimaginable in today's day and age. So, I mean, Kershaw's gotten a bad rap for many reasons. But look, back to the Verlander front.
Kershaw has pitched well in the World Series too.
He has, except outside of one game in Houston, when they were cheating.
Game 5. Yeah.
And so it's Justin Verlander.
I just don't
That's
see this
point.
working. I just don't see it working. The age, just everything. I think he's like just not meant to be a Dodger. I was with Jake in 2017. I would have liked Verlander over Darvish. I think that would have worked. I think if that had happened, he'd still be a Dodger today, obviously, and we'd be enjoying the benefits of him. But I honestly just think the ship sailed. I think they just got to go with somewhere else. I really hope this does not come to fruition. I have a really bad feeling if they sign him.
Well, we better start figuring that out soon, because it looks like they are gonna sign him. And it also looks like the fact that the Dodgers have kind of are not being as aggressive in the offseason as they have in the past. Their whole mantra is that they want the young guys to come up, and they want to see what they have in the farm system, which I like. So basically they're going to be signing Justin Verlander and maybe not much else, even though I would like them to go after a shortstop. I would like them to get a Xander Bogaerts or a Carlos Correa and just fill in this other spots, with kind of not lesser guys, but guys that don't demand a huge contract. I think that it's reasonable to shell out big money for two players, a really good starting pitcher and a really good shortstop. And then you fill in the blanks for the rest of the roster. That's what I would do. But it doesn't feel like they're going to go all in on a big shortstop. It just doesn't feel that way.
It does not. My last thoughts on Justin Verlander: the Dodgers need a big name starter, and the market does not offer many sexy options right there. I just don't think Jacob deGrom.
Well, there is the sexiest option of all time, which is Jacob deGrom.
Okay, let's not go with all time. That's a reach. But
you know what I'm saying. You're saying there's not a lot of sexy options. There's the sexy option. There's
one, and the Dodgers are barely even in the mix at this point. It looks like he's going back to the Mets. If it's not the Mets,
well, that's probably why, because they probably got indication that he's going to stay there.
Yeah, and then there's no one else really free agent wise. Do you really want to roll the ball on Carlos Rodon and give him?
No, I don't want Carlos Rodon at all. I don't want him at all.
So if they're gonna,
I'll spin that chamber.
If they're gonna pay one guy,
why would you spin that chamber? He's so injury prone, that guy, and
he looked fine last year.
We have too many lefties.
I agree with that, but over a 40-year-old ancient pitcher with a terrorist brother and an injury history and
it's more
stats.
Admit it. It's more about Ben Verlander.
It's more
about Ben Verlander than it is Justin Verlander.
It's not more about Ben Verlander. That is absolutely baggage that I also don't want. But I don't want the player because he's 40 fucking years old. He's 40. He's not 30. He's 40. Clayton Kershaw is 33, to put that in perspective. 33. Okay? It's only a matter of time. He just had Tommy John. This last past season feels like he gave the littlest bit of everything else he had left in this past season. I think he's a ticking time bomb to just implode and get hurt and suck.
Even if he has a 3 ERA, I'll take that. The Dodgers need someone that's going to eat innings. Verlander's always been that guy in his career. And despite your biases saying he can't pitch in the postseason, which is wrong, he's been to like 4 or 5 World Series now. Clearly, he can pitch in the postseason. I just want a guy that can get us back to the World Series, and we'll tackle that dilemma that he sucks when it matters most later on. But I do not want another year where we get bounced in the freaking first round after winning 111 games.
Well, that had nothing to do with starting pitching.
It kind of did.
Nothing.
It kind of did.
No, it didn't.
They had They had to use the bullpen a lot, and the bullpen, when it mattered most, did not succeed.
That's bullshit. That was only in the last game.
The Dodgers were up 3-0 in Game 4.
That was in the last. They shouldn't have been in that fucking position to begin with. Yes, the bullpen was bad, and it was honestly only really Tommy Kahnle that was bad.
That's also not true because, first of all, Yency Almonte gave up runs 2 and 3. They just were charged to Canely, and then Alex Vesia came in, gave up runs 4 and 5, which were charged to Almonte, I believe. So you're
Well,
wrong there. And
I'm not.
Clayton Kershaw wasn't exactly that
If Tommy
sharp.
Canely does his job, we're not even having this conversation right now. The point is that he shouldn't have been in there in the first place. And then when he got into trouble, the other two guys shouldn't have been brought in.
Gonsolin get 4 outs. We were kind of going through this thing that we do every year where we're scrambling to have a full rotation make starts in October.
We scored 1 run in that game. It didn't matter.
What game?
That game that Tony Gonsolin pitched. We lost 2-1.
Okay. That's 1 game. They lost 3 games.
Yeah. And they only scored 3 runs in the other one that they lost. And in the last one that they lost, they only scored 3 runs. And they had many opportunities to blow the doors off those games and win them like they did all season.
It was all the offense, all of it. All of the responsibility of that series loss falls on the offense. No one else. Not the starting pitching, not the bullpen, and not Dave Roberts. The offense.
Okay,
you know why?
That's all wrong there. First of all, you can definitely put some blame on Dave Roberts. He does not get no blame.
Oh, of course he gets blame. He gets blame in that final last game that he gets blamed for, but the rest of it is on the offense. I mean, you think about it. If the Dodgers didn't score 5 runs in the first game, we'd be talking about how Julio Reyes let us down.
Yeah, and you can't just be complacent with what they had a year ago. You gotta adapt. Do I expect?
No, I'm not saying that they don't need starting pitching. Of course they do. They lost Tyler Anderson.
Then what are we arguing here? Let's move on.
I think it's a pretty good debate point because I think the key to the success of this team is putting guys on this roster that can hit in the playoffs. That's the big key to all of this.
I think the key to winning in the playoffs is having the best starters go. And unfortunately, the Dodgers hitters just were shit for 4 games. But
it had nothing to do with the starting pitching. The starting pitching was fine.
You always put yourself in the best situation to win when you have your best possible starters going. And I don't expect Tony Gonsolin to be the same guy in 2023. We don't know what we're going to get out of Dustin May.
They scored 1 goddamn run in that game. 1 goddamn run.
Yep.
And okay. Tony Gonsolin was bad. Andrew Heaney was fine.
Andrew Heaney isn't a Dodger.
I don't even think Tony Gonsolin was bad. That's exactly what I expected Tony Gonsolin to do in that game because they didn't even build him up. They 2 regular season starts, let him throw 30 pitches. Oh yeah, maybe we can get 4 outs. Why the fuck are we starting someone who only get 4 outs from in the fucking postseason? What are we doing?
You got to burn your bullpen in game 3, and then you go to them in game 4, and what happened? They looked gassed. So it's a ripple effect. At the end of the day, things add up, and that's what happened to the Dodgers. I'm not blaming the starting pitching. That was the Dodgers' strength this year. I'm saying you continue to make that the strength. So how do you do that? You sign a guy like Justin Verlander because you don't have Walker Buehler in 2023. Julio Urias is in his contract year. So at least maybe Justin Verlander, you got him for 3 years. So this isn't just a 1-year plan. This is 2-3-year plan.
Give Julio Urias this money we're going to give Verlander.
Oh, God. We can go back to that later. Let's move on. The Dodgers have made moves this offseason. It's nothing flashy, but they did sign Shelby Miller, a right-handed 32-year-old pitcher, to a 1-year, $1.5 million guaranteed deal plus incentives. The right-hander has basically been bad as a starter the last 5-6 years. Last season, very small sample size in 4 games through 7 innings, but did have 14 strikeouts. That was with the Giants, had a 6.43 ERA, but somehow that equated to an 0.40 FIP. I don't know how you go from a 6.43 ERA to a 0.40 FIP. Maybe one of you guys know that stat better than me. But he is a proven pitcher. He was an all-star with the Braves, went 6-17, but still was somehow an all-star with a 3.02 ERA. Most notably was traded to Arizona that following season for Dansby Swanson. We know how that worked out for the Braves and unfortunately for the Diamondbacks. I don't think the Dodgers are signing this guy to be a starting pitcher, though. I expect him to be the next reincarnation of Joe Blanton, Jimmy Nelson, a guy that's going to come out of the pen, throw gas, throws a 4-seamer, a cutter, can work with Mark Pryor to even perfect his slider even more. In AAA last season, appeared in 43 games, had a 2.87 ERA with 69 strikeouts over 53 innings. So, final thoughts on Shelby Miller. Low risk, high reward type of guy. Tommy Kahnle likely gone. There's 10 plus teams interested in him. So you lose Kahnle, probably added Miller. We see what happens.
If there's one thing I can trust in this front office and also this coaching staff, mainly the pitching staff, if there's one thing I can count on, it's when you hear a guy and you go, who is this guy? Or that guy's still in the league, or why this guy? If you're asking any of those questions, it's probably a good thing, because typically what happens with those guys is that they surprise you. So I don't really, care so much about this move until we see it come to fruition. They must see something in this guy that, clearly is not reflected in his abysmal stats over his whole career. But I'm willing to see what happens with him. And if he performs, great. If he doesn't, then, so be it.
I don't really have a take on this. The nerds like this signing, so sure, sounds good.
I do remember him starting a postseason game as a Cardinal against the Dodgers many years ago, and I think he pitched pretty fine. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Shelby Miller will be on the 40-man roster. Will be the next Evan Phillips, potentially, a guy that we're just raving about coming out of the pen, I hope. Jake was talking about the shortstop market early on, but let's take a break here to talk about Tick Pick real quick. The holidays are rolling around, so if you're thinking about buying something for your loved one, your best friend, your crazy grandpa, that uncle you don't want to see, go to Tick Pick. First-time listeners have a chance to use the promo code Incline, all caps, on the Tick Pick app. You'll save $10 right away using that promo code Incline on your first purchase of $49 or more. Awesome site. You can go see the Rams, the Chargers, the Lakers, the Clippers, your favorite concert, your favorite musical, wherever you live. This is not just Los Angeles. This is around the country, and there's no service fees. So Tick Pick, thank you for sponsoring the show. We appreciate your great service, and you are one of the better ticket services out there. So go to tickpick.com, use that promo code Incline, save some money.
And it's a really good time to do that, honestly, right now, especially if you're in LA, because all the LA teams suck right now. So tickets are going to be cheap. You're going to be even cheaper if you use Tick Pick. The Lakers suck, the Clippers suck, the Rams suck, and the Chargers kind of suck. So if you like those teams, I would go to Tick Pick to get a cheap ticket.
Also, don't forget about the Kings and the Ducks.
That too. I think the Kings are actually pretty good this year.
I think so too, but the Ducks are bad.
Kings gave up 9 goals last night.
Right,
yeah, that was such a weird score.
All right, so the shortstop market, there are the big names out there. Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Dansby Swanson, and Carlos Correa. So let's get your guys' thoughts on, do you think the Dodgers are going to sign one of these shortstops? I know Jake already kind of alluded to it. So I'll go back to you, Jake. Where do you think the Dodgers are in this chase?
Well, I think they're out on Trey Turner. And if you believe John Paul Morosi, who's kind of been the only one, sending out these rumors as of late, it appears that he is, that Trey Turner is most likely going to the Phillies, according to him. Now, in terms of the other shortstops on the market, I like all 3 of them. I like Bogaerts, I like Correa, and I like Swanson. And I think that it would behoove the Dodgers to get one of those players. Do I think that they will? It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem like they're kind of in on any shortstop right now. It appears that maybe they're ready to just kind of, see what happens with Gavin Lux, moving him over to short. I don't really think that I don't like that. I know that he's a natural shortstop, but I'd rather have someone kind of a cornerstone, kind of like not a face of the franchise, but to go along with, Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, to have that guy at shortstop. It's one of the most important positions on the field. And you want a guy that not only can field the position, which those 3 players I just mentioned can, some better than others, but also perform in the postseason. And obviously we've talked at length about Correa and his 18 postseason home runs, and he would be my top target. I don't care, about the cheating scandal anymore. I've kind of gotten over that. It still sucks, obviously, to look back at those times, but at this point, it's like I just want to win a World Series. I don't care anymore. I don't want to get bounced in the first round anymore. I don't want to win one playoff game anymore. I want to get to the World Series. I want to win one in a full motherfucking season because I'm tired of hearing about this Mickey Mouse Trophy bullshit, even though I truly and honestly believe that the 2020 championship is legitimate. Ask any of those players that was on that team. Ask any real baseball Dodgers fan. They will say that it's legit. But honestly, I want a full season one. I want to be able to go. I want to be able to be a part of the parade. I want all of those things as a Dodgers fan. And growing up as a Dodgers fan, we've yet to experience that. So I don't care anymore about any cheating scandal. Bring me the best players to put on the field to win a championship. That's all I care about.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute since I've been on the show, so I figure like I had to unload on you guys.
It's the more this drags on, the more it's okay. Well, first of all, I don't believe a word John Paul Morosi is saying. He is like a tabloid at this point. He's just talking to talk. So I wouldn't take his reports that seriously. That being said, it does seem like the Dodgers are kind of content to not sign one of these guys. I think it was John again today who was like, yeah, Trey Turner, the Phillies have emerged for Trey Turner. And it's like, all right, are you going to give something with substance or are you just talking to talk again? Because you're just talking. You're not backing up this up with anything. I don't think they're going to sign Correa. He would be my first choice as well. I like the attitude. I like the offense and the defense combination. I like all of it. Not sold on Dansby Swanson. Bogarts, I think, is underrated. And who's the last? Oh yeah, Trey. I would love Trey back. I think I would love Trey back more than most people would after what some consider a bad postseason. I considered a pretty solid postseason, but I don't know. I think they're just content to just kind of ride this out. Maybe sign like either a stopgap shortstop or just play Lux there for a year and see how it goes, and then readjust next season. We'll see. I think a lot. Nothing has happened yet. I think that's for a reason. I think all these guys are kind of weighing offers and teams are still making offers. So let's just let it play out.
I think the most likely scenario at this moment in time is that Gavin Lux will be the Dodgers opening day shortstop. He's played a lot of innings in the minors at the position, and he's the cheap natural fit. The second most likely option, I do think if they are unable to reach an agreement with Justin Verlander, I think they immediately pivot to Xander Bogaerts. For whatever reason, that the Dodgers and Bogarts market has been heating up, although Xander is tied to a lot of teams, including the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Red Sox, of course. So they will be competitive, but he does seem like the cheap
Padres. What are the Padres doing?
Apparently, teams are potentially trying to convince him to play first base. Because he's not a great shortstop defensively, but
yeah, so first base makes sense.
I mean, he could probably play second too.
I mean,
let's get back to the point. He's a great hitter. He's basically a lock to hit 300 every season. Postseason wise, not the greatest, but he did win a World Series with the Red Sox, of course. I think that the Dodgers like his bat. I think you put him in, he's instant offense, and he's kind of like the cheaper but still pretty solid shortstop, kind of on par with what Trevor Story got. If Bogarts is poached right away, I think the third option is they go into the trade market, and there's some mixed reports out there whether the Brewers are willing to extend Willy Adames, or if the offer is right, they might trade him to a team. And there was one report out there that the Dodgers were potentially interested in swinging a trade with the Brewers. So I could see that fit. Former Tampa Bay guy, great defensively, kind of a solid hitter. Was struck out by Julio Urias looking in the World Series, so he does have that going against him. As much as I like the Carlos Correa idea, I don't think it's happening. It seems like 10 years, 300 plus million is his destiny at this point. And with Scott Boras as his agent, I think Correa is going to get what he wants. And Trey Turner is for sure not coming back. You can just basically block that one. He's going to the East Coast.
I wouldn't say for sure.
I don't think the
crazier
Dodgers
things happen.
I don't think the Dodgers have even had a conversation with Trey yet. It just seems over.
Do you guys remember like years ago? This was years ago, is when we signed Rafael Furcal, and it looked like he was in agreement with the Braves, and then at the last second, the Dodgers swooped in and signed. Do you guys remember that at all?
No,
I don't remember that
Twitter was not
saga.
a thing.
No.
No, it was well, I don't know. I just remember that. So that my point is that yes, crazier things have happened.
All right. Some quick hits here. The Dodgers earlier this offseason offered Aaron Judge $214 million. Laughable.
Maybe.
Laughable. That's like a slap in the face. The Yankees offered him $300 million. Still laughable. I don't know what teams are doing here. Aaron Judge is not going to settle less for $300 million. Why are they wasting his time? Still don't want the Dodgers to sign him. More realistic though, and with the Angels trading for Hunter Renfroe because they were in this mix, I think the Dodgers, this is my lock of the offseason. I think the Dodgers are going to sign Mitch Haniger. 39 home runs hit in 2021. Kind of a similar guy to AJ Pollock, maybe slightly better with the bat, probably not slightly better defensively. There's your left fielder because this team needs some damn outfielders, and I don't trust Trace Thompson to be that right-handed bat. So give me the power hitter. This guy has had success against lefties, averages like an 850 OPS. Calling it now, Mitch Haniger, that's your Dodgers outfielder.
I would like that sign a lot.
I like it too.
There was some rumors out there that the Dodgers might go after Alex Reyes, gave up the walk-off to Chris Taylor in the 2021 wildcard game. This would be a reclamation project, did not pitch in 2022, recovered from shoulder surgery or some type of procedure. Don't know if you guys have any thoughts on Reyes, but with the addition of Shelby Miller, I don't know if that's happening now.
Yeah, I'd like to, more. You can never have enough pitching, so I'm all for whoever they want to sign in that regard.
Yeah, and I don't think signing Shelby Miller is going to detract them from continuing their offseason plans. I don't think it's like a we got our guy situation. I think it's let's just sign this guy for nothing and hope it works out situation.
The 40-man is filling up, and I think the next reliever they sign would be the big name, hopefully a closer type of pitcher, because I still think they need that. GD Lou Hash asking us to predict the opening day lineup.
What was his handle again?
I think GD Lou Hash.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's kind of a premature question, GD Lou Hoff. I appreciate the question, but I don't know. We don't know who's going to be the shortstop. We don't know who's going to be the left fielder. The only thing we know is Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, and Will Smith and Gavin Lux are going to be in there somewhere. You assume Chris Taylor probably will be in there. Miguel Vargas, you can probably assume will be in there, barring a Justin Turner
Outman,
signing,
maybe.
Possibly Outman. So I think, after those five guys, we don't know yet.
My prediction, because they're facing the Arizona Diamondbacks at home, so you would assume Zach Gallen's taking the mound.
Oh, you're really going in on this.
I'm taking this question serious. I appreciate our listeners. Mookie Betts leading off in right field. Max Muncy batting second as your DH. Freddie Freeman first. Will Smith catcher. Mitch Haniger in left. Gavin Lux shortstop. James Outman batting seventh in center field. Chris Taylor at second, and Miguel Vargas batting ninth and at third. And your starting pitcher, Justin Verlander.
Oh, God.
They're giving him the opening day.
He's just our opening day guy now.
If you're giving him that freaking amount of money, he better be your opening day starter.
So just Julio Reyes should just go fuck himself, essentially.
Who won the Cy Young?
I mean, who cares? Who's been on the Dodgers for 7 years and been one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last 3?
Justin Verlander.
No, Justin Verlander hasn't pitched in 2 years till last year.
And he wasn't on the Dodgers.
I don't think they give a damn. I think opening day starters is kind of overrated to begin with. But if you're going to make Justin Verlander your ace, then you're going to give your ace the opening day start. And
I'll bet you $20. If they sign him, I'll bet you $20 he doesn't start opening day.
All right, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll bring that up when it happens.
Witness.
Okay, so Rolo H88, do you see the Dodgers taking a year off from major acquisitions as a way to get below this luxury tax threshold and reset? So I guess the question is, are the Dodgers not going to sign anyone big?
It seems like that's what they're trying to do. It seems like that's why they're not kind of going all in on every free agent that's out there. It's probably the reason why they probably won't sign a shortstop, which is why that that report about the Aaron Judge offer is kind of weird. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Number one, that it would leak, and number two, the figure, the number figure. Why even offer him that? It makes no sense.
Well, it was a super short, it was for like 4 years or something.
Did they say how long it was for? It was for 4 years?
It wasn't a 10-year deal for that. They're not stupid.
I all I saw was 214. That's all I saw.
It was a short-term offer.
Probably 5 years.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, we kind of talked about this last episode. I do think they're going to get just under the tax, so it resets. That doesn't mean they can't spend, though. They got about $100 million worth, that they can spend now. So they can do both, and they can do both successfully. I think they may not get Correa, maybe not Trey Turner, obviously not Aaron Judge. But there's plenty of other guys they can spend on, and they are going to get very damn close to that luxury tax marker, which is $233 million. So I think they do get to around 230, 232 million, and do a little bit of mix of both.
All right, we're running out of time here, so I'll give this listener who asked a number of questions, so you can ask us more of these next week. Third Eye Scott, what would it take for the Dodgers to land Corbin Burns in a trade? And Willy Adames, but we already talked about that, so Corbin Burns is probably more the expense.
Go ahead, David.
Well, I would like this package a lot. I think that trade would greatly benefit the Dodgers. I think it's going to cost a lot, though. I think Tony Gonsolin would absolutely be in that trade. I think it's going to cost at least 2 of the top, I'll say 10 prospects as well. And then probably some kind of major league talent as well. I'm not sure who that is. But I think if they're going to do some kind of trade with like a Corbin Burns or Pablo Lopez type situation, I think it's safe to say Tony Gonsolin and probably Ryan Pepio as well will be on the way out.
I'm out. I think the cost for Corbin Burns is too high. He's already pitched the best he possibly could pitch the last 2 seasons. I'm out. I think it's way too of a buy high. I would prefer to buy someone that's more on the low side, like a Tyler Glass now. And that's where I stand.
Talk about that guy. He can never stay on the field.
I also don't think he's that good. Throws hard. And I think he'd benefit a lot from Mark Pryor, but he has a lot of red flags for me.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. So anything else you guys want to cover real quick?
This is just a weird offseason so far, I think.
That's kind of where I was going too.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I trust that the Dodgers are going to put a winning team on the field, obviously. I mean, even without making any of these moves, I think that they can win the division with the roster that they currently have. It's just about planning ahead for October. It's really the number one thing that I'm looking for is who can they find that's going to perform when the lights are the brightest.
With the winter meetings happening next week, that's when things will pick up. They think Justin Verlander will sign around that time. There will probably be a big trade somewhere. Aaron Judge will probably be the first big name free agent to sign as well.
Also, why haven't they announced Kershaw yet?
That's what I'm saying.
40 man stuff.
I don't buy that.
40 man. What else would it be?
They have like 5 open spots. It's got to be the money. It's got to be the money because we have not heard.
It's not the money.
We have not heard the exact dollar.
He's not holding out over an extra $2 million.
I'm not saying it's him. I'm saying it's the Dodgers are trying to manipulate a way to get like 232 because 233 is like that magic threshold number. I think the Dodgers.
This is all procedural and money wise, like tax wise. This has nothing to do. Kershaw will be a Dodger. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, no one's saying that. I'm saying they're waiting on the money. They gotta like calculate it with their little calculator because they're nerds.
Yeah.
All right, quick rant here.
Plus.
3 sports teams names that I think are horrible. First off, Cleveland Guardians. The name change, I get it for political reasons.
Bad.
But the Guardians, that makes no sense with Cleveland whatsoever.
Bad.
Another bad team name, the Phillies. Might be the most laziest team name in all of sports. Philadelphia Phillies. Really? I mean, the 76ers, that's an awesome name. You get the Liberty there. But really, the Phillies, awful. And finally, the other terrible sports team name, the Pelicans. How do you go from the New Orleans Hornets to the New Orleans Pelicans? If you're on that roster and you're a Pelican, how do you get fired up? Maybe the weakest bird of all the sports teams out there. I don't get it. Like, that's